Mosab Hassan Yousef, the son of a Hamas co-founder, put this Palestinian expert in her place.
She's been there only for a visit, and maybe she had some falafel sandwich, and she really was blown away of the Palestinian experience. There is no such a thing as Palestine. It's about time to retire, find a different job. You're not a journalist. You don't qualify even to be a mother.
Every single media person and journalist across the world who truly does not understand all of the deep complexities and historical context required to talk about this entire conversation just chooses to point fingers at Israel for being the cause of all of the mayhem inside of the Gaza Strip.
Seeing the invasion now of Rafah, cutting off the last vestige of escape for Palestinians, the last vestige of aid delivery, 1.3 million Palestinians, including 600,000 children, with nowhere left to go. This is what Palestinians were told was a safe corridor. That is why they all fled to Rafah. Rafah has been bombarded for the last several weeks, killing dozens of people every day.
The reasons that Gazans inside of the Gaza Strip fled to Rafah is because the Israeli army told them to evacuate prior to their entrance. The reason that Gazans inside of the Gaza Strip fled to Rafah is because the Israeli army values those innocent lives, and therefore they put pamphlets in Arabic above areas for people to read messages from them prior to coming in for an attack. Take a look inside. Take a look at their government. Take a look at their society. Take a look at the leaders within this region. Start there, Abi. Their government, their leaders, their police force, the people who run that society, those people are Hamas. You know that yourself. And in fact, you really believe that those people should remain in power and that they are doing the right thing for all of the Palestinians who are living inside of the Gaza Strip. Leaders care about their followers. They have their best interests in mind. They provide them a sense of safety and security, and over time, they build trust and loyalty. That's what good leaders do. Leaders don't kill their followers. Well, when they do, it means that they don't actually care about them, nor are they actually leaders themselves. And several days ago, Hamas fired rockets from Rafah directly at the Kerem Shalom crossing, which is the exact entry point of the humanitarian aid that is coming in to help these innocent civilians inside of Gaza. This rocket attack directly from Hamas damaged shelters of humanitarian aid zones where Palestinians were living, and they also killed 3 IDF soldiers doing so. And they, of course, destroyed this entry point for all of the aid that you and everyone else keeps talking about. So those Palestinians inside of the Gaza Strip who suffered because of the rockets that Hamas fired at their own homes, causing violence and destruction, those are the ones that have those Palestinians' lives' best interest in mind. Those are the people that are protecting the Gazans. Actions speak louder than words, and the IDF literally does more to protect Palestinians inside of Gaza than Hamas has or ever will.
Evidence, according to the UN, of Palestinians buried alive, using drones to lure out Palestinians with sounds of crying children so they could be shot and killed.
Abi, let me educate you real quick. It baffles me that you have been to the Middle East, but still today, as an expert journalist, you cannot call a spade a spade. Israel flies drones over buildings in the Gaza Strip for the purpose of having speakers attached with Arabic-speaking IDF officials back in the state of Israel, telling Gazans and people in that building ahead of time that the IDF is coming in on a mission. The IDF flies pamphlets written in Arabic over the Gaza Strip, letting Gazans know in advance that the IDF is coming in on a mission. The IDF has command centers stationed back in Israel, with IDF soldiers who speak fluent Arabic making phone calls to citizens inside of the Gaza Strip, telling them in advance that the IDF is coming in on a mission. And after all of this is done, Hamas still uses this opportunity to force those same people who Israel took the time in advance to let them know that they're coming in to remain exactly where they are. They close off the streets, they create roadblocks, and they even shoot at people who try and escape. And the very same people that they tried to help get killed, not because of Israel, because of Hamas. They enclose them, they trap them, they literally make them suffer. Hamas doesn't care if any of them get killed. Actually, they like it. Why is that? Because then they have people like yourself, Abi, thinking that it's actually Israel doing the damage. It is Hamas with their own lethal terror tactics against their own people, to cloud the truth and then frame Israel for their exact own war crimes. And that is what using people as human shields actually means. Abi, do you get it now?
This dilemma, you're going with your whatever morality. This is war. In war, people die. You need to wake up to this reality, accept it. Stop this denial. We are in the face of savages who hijacked an entire society. This is a very difficult war. No other army can do the job, and I'm not willing to risk thousands of lives of foot soldiers to deal with this type of savages who hijacked the entire society.
Mosab said it best. There literally is no other army better in the world to get the job done. No army has ever seen a war or a fight just like this one. When have we seen a terror group fight a war from underneath the ground inside of tunnels, while at the same time using their own citizens, their very own people, as human shields, used as collateral to throw into a media propaganda machine to get their fake narrative into the world in every algorithm possible? It has never been done before. Not in Asia, not in Europe, not in the West. It never has been done. The Middle East, this place is a jungle. And all of the Western morals and rules that everyone wants carried out here during this conflict, during this war in the Middle East, is simply an impossible task, my friends. War in this region is very different. And this fight and this attack was completely unforeseen, the October 7th massacre. And now, without any choice, Israel has been put in a position to fight the most complex and complicated battle known to mankind.
100,000 people could have died. Israel is doing everything they could. Don't reduce it to the point. Do you have statistics? Who cares?
Mosab.
Jordan,
All right.
The Arab world don't want Hamas at whatever cost.
Mosab.
Whatever it costs, we want to remove Hamas from power.
Okay.
I don't think people have actually taken the time to wrap their heads around this. We saw over 1,200 people, innocent civilians inside of Israel, get mutilated by Hamas on October 7th. And yes, the army was not present, security forces were not present, and Hamas and those civilians that joined them, who are also terrorists too, pulled off the greatest massacre against civilians in a single day humanity has ever seen. But what actually stopped Hamas at 8, 9, or 10 in the morning? Army forces began making their way down south and reserves were called in. Citizens literally on their own who had guns began fighting their own fight from within their homes or next to a vehicle that they found. But imagine for a second that didn't happen, that the army forces did not make their way down south as quick. What would have stopped Hamas from continuing their slaughter? What would have stopped Hamas from continuing to move north? What, you think that they wouldn't have continued to move towards more northern cities like Ashdod, Ashkelon, Beersheba, and Tel Aviv? You think that they didn't have plans to wipe out the entire map if they could? That was their goal. That is their goal. On October 7th, they accomplished a lot, but just a portion of their real intention. You could say that Israel is lucky that they did not continue to move north, because that 1,200 digit would be much larger, and you and I both know that's true.
The only side want Hamas to stay is the Iranian Ayatollah, and for some stupid reason, Karen in America wants Hamas to stay. But the Arab world, let me tell you something, Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the majority of the Arab world, we are Arabs. I am Arab. We are not Palestinians. We don't want Hamas. We don't want Islam. We want Islamists out of power.
Okay.
Are you listening to what Mosab is saying? Jordan doesn't want Hamas. Saudi Arabia doesn't want Hamas. The majority of the Arab world does not want them. If they did, then why are they not helping and taking care of the Palestinians inside of the Gaza Strip? Why isn't Egypt opening up its borders to the Palestinians? Why isn't Jordan helping Palestinians inside of Gaza get into Jordan? Why isn't Saudi Arabia doing the same thing? If they are all huge supporters and have their best interests in mind for Hamas and all of those who support them, why aren't they?
I'm not going to sit here and say, yes, Hamas is a terrorist organization and they need to be eradicated. Of course, that's not true. And I think that we can both agree.
What do you mean that's not
it's
true?
An impossible task. It's not true that something needs to be done about Hamas.
You're not actually serious right now. Nothing needs to be done about Hamas? Hold on just a second. Let's pretend that October 7th didn't happen. Let's go back 7 months. Do the people in Gaza have a good life? Do the people in Gaza have a real government? Do the people in Gaza feel safe and protected? Do the people in Gaza trust their leaders? Let me ask you this. Does something need to be done about the politics and leadership in the United States of America? Does something need to be done about the politics and leadership in Russia, in China, in Israel, in Iran, in North and South Korea? Yes, 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 and yes. And yet, after seeing all of the shocking levels of terrorism and barbarism that Hamas thrives off of, some of us, like you, Abby, are here today saying nothing needs to be done about them. If there is any one society, region, or area in the world right now that needs immediate change, it is Hamas inside of the Gaza Strip. Period.
Don't agree with that framework and the parameters of that debate.
Why?
Because Israel's been committing ethnic cleansing and genocidal policies against the Palestinians for 70
But Hamas
plus
literally
years.
has
and
a
as
charter.
I reiterated
But Abby,
before,
hang on. Hamas literally
But hold
has
on,
a
here's-
stated charter of the elimination of Israel. That is the purest personification of a publicly stated policy of genocide
that's not
I can
true,
imagine.
Piers.
Hamas has made it very clear to many people around the world, well, clearly not clear enough for people like you, Abby, that their literal charter is about the destruction of the state of Israel, the destruction of Jews. Wait, are you also not believing this either?
انه صار لازم نأدبها وحنأدبها مره ثانيه وثالثه، ومش هذا حتكون طوفان الاقصى اول مره، لا حتكون ثانيه وثالثه ورابعه، لانه احنا لدينا اصرار ولدينا قرار ولدينا امكانيات ان نقاتل
نعم.
ونحارب، لكن كما قلت لك بدنا ندفع ثمن. نعم احنا مستعدين، معلش بدي اقول لك بشكل واضح، احنا اسمنا شعب الشهداء وبنفخر ان نقدم شهداء.
I find it mind-boggling that Abby Martin, born and raised in California, has the decency to discredit the son of a Hamas co-founder who was born and raised in the Middle East. In 2008, Abby was active in the 9/11 Truth Movement. For those of you who do not know what the Truth Movement is, this movement disputes the consensus of the attacks of September 11th, 2001. They dispute the fact that Al-Qaeda terrorists hijacked 4 planes and crashed them into the Pentagon and the original World Trade Center Twin Towers. This movement believes that the United States was responsible for this attack. And this is the same person, Abby, who claims to know more than Mosab Hassan Yousef about Jews and Muslims. She's choosing to discredit an Arab from the West Bank whose father was one of the co-founders of the terrorist group You Applaud.
Should the people who live in Gaza and on the West Bank, should they be entitled to the same human rights as Israelis?
If they have equal responsibility as the decent citizens of the State of Israel, that includes Arabs, Jews, Christians, and all other citizens of the State of Israel, then yes, they have equal rights.
Abby made the claim throughout this interview that Mosab Hassan Yousef thinks that every single Muslim is guilty, that all of them are terrorists. But we see here that that could not be further from the truth. Listen to what he says here, because this is exactly what myself and so many people have been trying to say for the past 7 months, for crying out loud.
Now, regarding to the Arabs who live there, they need a decent police force. They need a good economy. They need good education. And if they are able to integrate, then naturally could be a political entity based on their needs. But right now, when she say Palestine, who is? Islamic Jihad, Fatah, Marwan Barghouthi, Ismail Haniyeh, Hamas, Public Front. They are so conflicted. They don't have agenda, they don't have leadership, they don't have legitimacy. This is an anarchy that has been going on for about 70 years.
If you are somebody that wants to coexist, that wants peace, that does not operate their lives off of terror, violence, and fear, then we can have a conversation. If you do not raise your kids to have that ideology and that deadly systematic framework, then we can have a conversation. But if the agenda is terror, hate, violence, fear, anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, and simply killing the opposition, then we cannot have a conversation because you are not contributing to any greater cause or getting closer towards a shot at peace. Terrorists do not have a say in how we might approach peace with one another sometime in the future. And anyone who agrees with them doesn't either.
Now, to transform, to integrate the society, we must protect the children. And this is a priority number 1 before we talk about Palestinian state or whatever name you want to give it. That when we have a savage group, Islamists, by the name of Allah, hijacking and using children as human shields, their own children, after killing Jewish children, then this is a capital crime.
Mosab understands that kids are first and foremost. The person or people that are the most instrumental in our early education or introductory perspectives on life are the ones who raise us, a parent, a guardian, or what have you. In Hamas, they raise their children to embrace what it means to be a part of Hamas, to wholeheartedly believe that it is their true calling, their North Star in life, to die a shaheed and to live their life every day with the sole purpose of the destruction of the state of Israel and everything that is associated with it. So the first actual attempt at aiming to change that requires a different education, a different perspective, and a different ideology for children. So how do we do that?
We cannot blind our eyes. We have to deal with priorities. First, we remove this savage group out of power. If Abi's intention were pro-peace, then this is our intention, that we should unify our efforts toward this main goal, first goal, priorities. Then after that, we can talk about the future and this criminal you call Marwan Barghouti in Israeli prison.
Personally, I think that we are fools for talking about peace, talking about coexistence, and living a life side by side while this cancer still exists. We have absolutely no business talking about a life lived happily ever after, side by side, unless Hamas and every single person who believes in inciting violence against Jewish people and the state of Israel are completely removed. Cancer spreads, and the only way to try and remove it is aggressive approaches of chemotherapy and countless surgeries. What we need to do as a society is aggressively reduce the chances of this cancer spreading more and more. Otherwise, we are not moving forward in any direction.
I mean, there is absolutely no evidence provided that Hamas uses human shields and that somehow justifies this heinous slaughter of predominantly women and children in Gaza. And even if they were literally standing behind hostages, you still can't just kill hundreds of people in a single airstrike because a Hamas commander is right there. And that's exactly what Israel is admittedly doing.
Abi, are these the kinds of fathers that you would say are good dads?
هاي الولد الصغير طخوه ما تدورين على الولاد الصغار طخ هيو طخ روح
Golda Meir once said, "Peace will come when the Arabs love their children more than they hate us." Abi, you clearly do not know what you are talking about. You clearly do not know what a human shield is. You do not have the actual authority to speak about this. And yes, I'm over here right now inside of Israel, in the Middle East, telling you that. You do know what a good falafel sandwich is inside of the West Bank. You know what claiming that the 9/11 attacks was the US fault is. You have no idea that Hamas abuses and uses people as human shields the same age as you, your family members, older and younger, to project a global narrative that is the furthest thing from the actual on-the-ground reality. But on your next visit to the Middle East, why don't you stop inside of Gaza? Ask to meet with all of the Hamas representatives that you are praying stay in power and don't have anything done to them. And please let all of us know how that works out for you. I just want to know the following. What interest does Mosab Hassan Yousef have in defending Israel? What interest does he actually have in escaping the Middle East, being completely disowned from his entire family, and having a global death target on his back 24/7? He is standing up for something that he believes in, something that he wants to fight for, fighting for right and condemning all of the wrong. Mosab can't go out to a cafe and eat nice and quiet like I can. He can't go back to his hometown and visit his family like I can. He lives a very sheltered and protected life because he took a risk, a courageous risk, to expose the lethal ideology that he was indoctrinated into himself and has chosen to show the world what is really going on. But now we have people like yourself, Abi, or all of the Karens in America who are choosing to discredit Mosab. Who are you to do that? Out of every living person on earth right now, Mosab possesses the most credibility, the most real-life experience, and the most reliability to be able to discuss this topic. Maybe if you were from the Middle East, Abi, I'd be willing to entertain your very nice opinion of yours. But I have some advice for you, Abi. Don't step into an arena you are not a part of. On your way out, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you're a fan or supporter and you believe in us and what we are doing, your help is needed. These videos are not fully monetized, and so you can help by joining our Patreon or donating to places like PayPal or Buy Me a Coffee. Our Discord community is free to join, and I would love to see you there. Your support is what keeps these projects going, so all of the links are in the description for you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. Seriously, it means the world to me. Thank you, and I'll see you next video.